Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, taxi operator shot and injured after attempting to disarm cop. A taxi operator who attempted to disarm a police officer in St. Thomas on Monday morning was shot and injured. Reports are that about 11:30 a.m., a police team was carrying out the traffic enforcement duties in the vicinity of the Hope Road Transport Center in Morante Bay when a motorist was observed in breach of the Road Traffic Act. While the police were speaking with the motorist, he reportedly became boisterous, and in an attempt to arrest him, a struggle ensued. The police say the motorist reached for a machete from his car and hit an officer on his hand. He then reportedly grabbed onto the policeman's firearm, which was around his shoulder. The policeman then used another gun from his waist and shot the motorist. The taxi operator was assisted to hospital by the police, where he is being treated. Make death penalty attainable, says Champagny. Defense Attorney King's Counsel Peter Champagny is calling for lawmakers to amend the legislation to make the death penalty attainable in instances such as Sunday night's deadly attack in Clarendon. 17 people were shot, 8 of whom died in the attack. Mr. Champagny, while stressing that he supports due process in law and fair trials, said those who are convicted in relation to the mass shooting must face the gallows. Noting that the death penalty remains on Jamaica's law books, Mr. Champagny explained the difficulty in it being applied.
The common law principles that apply reserve the death penalty for what is called the worst of the worst case. And sometimes, and invariably actually, that threshold is very hard to reach. I therefore am recommending that there is legislation to have an automatic situation where once a person is properly tried, has gone through a fair process in terms of an appeal with a stipulated time period, and there is an adverse situation nevertheless coming from a guilty verdict, that the death penalty be automatic. And this would apply in cases where there is the killing of a child, or the killing of more than one person at the same time, or the killing of persons who are senior citizens. In other words, the persons who are most vulnerable in our society. Gone are the days where it was unheard of for a child to be killed, for someone in their 90s to be killed, for there to be a mass killing. Those days were never a feature of Jamaica's history and culture, as far as I understand it. And therefore, we need to have legislation to deal with our situation.
DCS chief admits a difficulty in preventing contraband smuggling, and Holness promises full force response to Clarendon tragedy. Fingers are being pointed at the Department of Correctional Services as a conduit for organized crime following a mass shooting, claiming 8 lives and leaving 10 people injured in 4 parts of Clarendon on Sunday night. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Monday said that criminal players from overseas and incarcerated persons are believed to be behind the deadly attack on a group of more than 50 people gathered at a birthday celebration along Cherry Tree Lane. A 7-year-old boy was among those fatally hit, while a 1-year-old infant is among those injured in the shock attack that sent chills down the nation's spine. On Monday, Brigadier Roger Mason, the head of the DCS, said it is difficult to plug the holes in correctional facilities, acknowledging that his subordinates are complicit in smuggling contraband or looking the other way. He said the DCS continues to conduct daily random searches, collaborate with the police, and implement technology to counter the recurring issue. Added to that, he said measures are being taken to prevent the public from throwing prohibited items over prison walls. Our daily operations involve searching visitors and the institution, searching our members. We've implemented scanners, closed-circuit television cameras. These activities continue daily, and once prohibited articles are found, we take the necessary actions against the perpetrators, Mason told the news. Under the Corrections Amendment Act 2021, an inmate who engages in the unauthorized use or possession of an electronic communication device commits an offense and can be fined up to $3 million. A fine not exceeding $5 million is prescribed for any subsequent similar offense. Still, hits are ordered from inside the island's prisons. It is difficult in the sense that there are ingenious ways in which these items are concealed and are destroyed when it is believed that they are going to be found. It's an ongoing operational activity at any correctional facility or lockup that is in operation, Mason said. He noted too that the technology around the cell phone jammers is being improved and that new technology is being acquired. Speaking at a press conference at the office of the Prime Minister, Holness said the killings represent an attack on every Jamaican and every community. He called it an act of terror. We know that persons overseas are involved and are connected in this matter. We know that persons who are incarcerated presently have connections in this matter. We know that multiple gangs are connected and involved in this matter, said Holness. Every gang, every person who in any way facilitated, provided the arms, or were involved and pulled the trigger themselves, we will find you. We will not treat this as another criminal act. We will treat this as an act of terror, he added. In December 2022, he disclosed that Kingston had supplied Washington with a list of 31 criminals based overseas who are directly involved in local crimes following his visits to the United States. On Monday, he said he could not divulge too much on whether that move has resulted in favorable outcomes. Acting Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey later confirmed to the news that at least one person was arrested and convicted in the U.S. as a result. Meanwhile, Holness said the National Security Council has given a directive to the security forces to launch an all-out assault on the gangs involved. He said that for too long, the country has played with the gangs. There is no way that 8 persons can be killed in one incident in Jamaica and the state stands as if nothing happened. No, every gang member, every gang will feel the full force of the state today. This must never happen again in Jamaica, he said. The killings were carried out in 2 separate attacks on 2 gatherings at approximately 8:45 p.m. Bailey said preliminary investigations suggested that the attackers used high-powered weapons, firing indiscriminately on the gatherings. Our teams are working tirelessly to identify the perpetrators and their motives, he said. Senior JP who left the accident scene to be arrested and charged today. A senior Hanover Justice of the Peace who allegedly fled the scene of an accident on Independence Day after he reportedly crashed into the vehicle of Hanover Custos, Dr. David Stair, is to be arrested and charged by the Hanover police today. The JP, who the police have identified as Alvin Jackson of a Bull Bay address, also in Hanover, reportedly contacted the police after they made 2 visits to his home and they did not find him. When he finally spoke with the police, he reportedly agreed to surrender this morning at 10 at the Lucy Police Traffic Department. According to Acting Superintendent of Police Andrew Nish, the police commander for Hanover, when the police visited the accident scene, Jackson had already left. The police subsequently made efforts to locate him at his home without success. On the night in question, there were no serious injuries. However, when the police arrived on the scene, Mr. Jackson was not there, said Nish. Jackson is known to the police. My officers went in search of him twice. He was not found, but as a result, he called the station and made a preparation to come to the station so that he can be formally charged. According to reports, on the night of August 6, Independence Day, about 11 p.m., Stair was driving from Lucy to his home in Hopewell, also in Hanover, when on reaching a pothole-riddled stretch of roadway along the Lucy Main Road in the proximity of the GV service station, he stopped to allow oncoming vehicles to pass. Jackson, who was said to be traveling in the opposite direction, reportedly crashed into Stair's car, causing damage to both vehicles. An argument reportedly developed between the men who knew each other, and the Stair decided to call the police. However, on hearing that the police would be called, Jackson reportedly decided that he was not going to wait around and left the scene. When the police arrived, Jackson was nowhere to be found, so Stair's vehicle, which had been rendered inoperable, was towed away to police headquarters. At that point, Steer formally reported the accident. According to Nish, while the custody Suzuki Grand Vitara was taken to the police headquarters, it was not being impounded and instead was being held there for safekeeping. It is accessible to the custos anytime he actually needs it, said Nish, who has been in touch with Steer in relation to the custody of the vehicle. When the news contacted Steer yesterday, he said he was uninjured in the accident. However, he said that he was now without a vehicle, which has restricted his ability to move around. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.